Screw it. We're doing it live.
That's right. This is a very live, special, totally live, 100% live episode of the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, East Coast Salmon Poker Stars.
And I'm Legend of Ben 1 on Poker Stars. And today, this is kind of a spring cleaning loose ends episode of the podcast. We have mentioned before how Poker Go regularly expunges the live feeds of the main events from their uh, roster of programming on Poker Go. And so uh, because we're now approaching the main event, or I guess the poker season this summer, we wanted to forever memorialize our time in the spotlight in the 2023 main event during our times in the spectating areas, as well as we'll also be covering a few topics here and there about various poker related subjects. And so really it's going to be kind of one of those let's watches that we've done before. And hopefully you guys will we can share some stories about our Vegas trip, just sort of reminisce about that too, because this obviously brings up those memories quite strongly for me.
Yeah, we have a few different things we're going to be going over. Ben has seen some poker media that I haven't. I've seen some poker media that he hasn't. And then, yeah, we'll be going over some of our little appearances here and there at the main event last year. Unfortunately, as we mentioned in the past, we're not going to be able to attend the main event in Vegas this year. Hopefully, we can attend future events. And yeah, we'll be telling some stories along the way. So it's just kind of like an odds and ends sort of free flowing episode. We don't have a lot of notes for everything. So we're just going to try to have some light content here before the poker season starts up in earnest.
Exactly. And again, we also are approaching our 3-year podcast anniversary, and this is episode number 81, which is 3 to the 4th power. So may the 4th power be with us as we watch ourselves not quite photobomb, but spectator bomb the main event from last year. So Sam's going to come over here. We're going to watch it together so that the audio quality is best, and then from there we will get this show rolling. So we're going to do a screen share, which I totally know how to do. And that will be this guy here. Share. Bada boom. There we go. And right here, you can see.
Should I get off here?
Yeah. Sam's off there. Sam's going to be over here. So as you can see in this screen share here, this is the middle of day 1C with Negreanu and Shelby Wells, kind of the headliners at that featured table back on that day. And we're actually kind of this is the longest consecutive period of time that me or Sam was visible in the crowd area. The other two videos I really, I kind of walked around when I was by myself. So with Sam, though, we were definitely there for a longer period of time. So this is about an hour. We can play this at about 2x speed, but then as we approach the fateful conversation, we'll slow it down and blast the volume up so that you guys can hear what was said between me and Negreanu, and it'll be forever encapsulated in history for us on video.
Yeah, I mean, to give a little bit of context here to this moment, so Ben had not been feeling well, so I sort of went to go see some main event action myself. So I walked into this room and I see this whole setup. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I want to go see what the feature table is. Turned out it actually wasn't the main event. It was a heads up event with, well, not heads up event, but it was with Sam Sovrel. It was another bracelet event. And I was just kind of saying to myself, can I just walk up to the table? Like I see all these people standing around, as you can see in the background, you see all these people with their, arms up.
There's my red shirt and my gray jacket, and you're behind me kind of right over there. But that's the start of it. That's my jacket.
Yeah. So anyway, like I see all these people standing around the table. Like, wait, can I just walk up there? Like, do I need permission? Do I have to have a pass or something? So I just sort of walked up to the table, and then I saw like, oh, I can kind of just walk around and then step up to the table and actually stand there. And that's what I did.
You can kind of see Sam's gray jacket. So mine's kind of a gray blue jacket. He's got it's very thin. It's above the Shorman Granu display on the chip counts there. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, it's all good. And I got to watch Sam Sovrel play a couple times, standing directly behind him. He made eye contact with me a couple times. I wasn't sure if he was exactly pleased that I was standing right there. I don't know, just sort of the look on his face. And then when Ben was well enough to watch the coverage in person, I told him, like, you can just walk right up to the table and they've got cameras and everything. We might be on camera. So that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, and then again, we lucked out that Negreanu was at this sort of TV table. Again, this is like the featured table during that part of the stream. It was not the main big table that was saved for later on, starting on day 2. For day 1, they didn't really do that. I guess they're just biding their time. I don't know. It's very strange. And so we're over here again. I'm still sick. I'm not feeling great, but I feel well enough that I'm able to walk around and be a part of the poker scene and everything. I bring my orange string backpack, and in it I have my laptop to watch for updates. I have obviously my lovely copy of Deal Me In that I got from that Poker Go contest a couple years ago, so that I have on me, and there's a Negreanu chapter, so I thought, this is a good chance for me to get an autograph from Negreanu on the Negreanu page. So I'll show that off once we get to that point in the video. Sam and I were literally right there. You can see us. We're just watching the action. Again, we can't see the cards unless they're tabled at the end of the hand, but you can see there's a little computer display above the table that sort of shows whose turn it is, how much the bet size is. So there's some automation there. That's kind of cool. And Negreanu is obviously pretty short stacked here. Shelby Wells is the chip leader at the table. And it's kind of funny. Their chip stacks kind of go in opposite directions as day 1 seek progresses, and particularly even in the hour that we were just watching right there.
Yeah, I just noticed. I think I'm wearing the same shirt right now that I was wearing back then. I think it's the same color. And my jacket is right over here, so I can show it.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So I wore this fleece jacket, these fleece jackets all throughout the entire trip.
Yep.
Yes, I wore it in 90-degree weather.
And then you got my jacket there. This is the same jacket that I was wearing in that room right there. You can kind of see the stripes on the sleeves there. That's me right there.
Yeah, you can tell it's my hair there.
Yes,
same hair.
And I'm wearing a mask. You'll be able to see me in my mask very clearly later on, because again, I'm sick. I'm trying not to spread my germs across the world here, and I didn't think it was COVID or anything. So I just some cold or something. Obviously, being motion sick on the plane wasn't very helpful here, but. Again, so I did review this footage a couple days ago, so there aren't too many crazy hands. It's just kind of your standard day 1 action here. Everyone's got enough big blinds to play a few hands, and even make a few mistakes here and there.
Right.
Obviously we see the chip display. I didn't actually watch this until like later that day, where I could be like, oh my God, Sam, we're there. Because even though we knew that they're recording this, they could cut away from other tables and show stuff, interviews and stuff, maybe less so on day 1, but nonetheless still possible. So we didn't know for sure how much we're going to be on camera here. Obviously, you can see us whenever these players are in a hand. That's the corner of the table that we're visible on. And luckily, we're able just to lean right on that little sort of gray railing there, and we're really right there. We're not so close. We're not breathing down their necks, but we're able to see everything very clearly.
Yeah, and I'm leaning a lot. There was a bunch of chairs that were a little bit, like a couple steps away from the table. I had to sit down a lot because we were obviously sweating Adam. So we were standing up the whole time because there's no chairs in the main room where Adam was playing. I guess you could bring a chair if you wanted to, but we didn't have any chairs, so I had to sit down a lot, I remember, because my back kept hurting.
Yeah, and
I stepped away from the table.
And our other brother, Nick, he had a multiple Sports Illustrated Patriots jackets. So we all had one of those to wear when we were cheering for Adam. We're not wearing them in this video here, but nonetheless, we did have that at the ready whenever we wanted to. And again, this is also still in the very early parts of my time on this trip here. This is like I think my first day or second day in Vegas.
Yeah.
And so this is obviously we have our lunch with Mike and all the Where's Waldo, all these poker players that we're just loving seeing around it. And again, this is Sam's first time in Vegas too, so I know it's a bit more of an eye-opening situation than it was for me, because I was there a couple years ago prior. But
yeah, the first night I was there was July 4th, which Nick and I were there. Our brother Nick was there just before midnight. So I mean, the streets were full of tens of thousands of different people. So we were walking through the streets. That was really crazy.
And we can even you see this hand here. It's kind of funny. We see a pair of sevens 4 ways actually being the best hand right now, and that's just kind of one of those funny things about day 1 is that ranges are so different that you can have these weird spots where you might have the best hand, but it's going to be pretty hard to actually take it down 4 ways.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind we don't know what the whole cards are as we're watching this, so we're just kind of trying to go through in our minds what each of these players have. What the image they're trying to project and all that. And again, there's not much talking amongst the players. Daniel does a little bit of it every now and again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, every now and again, he stands up out of his chair and goes and greets his adoring fans.
Yes. And so, it was definitely a waiting game, because Negreanu was at the table, and I full respect for him. You got to be at the table, be present.
Right.
Then every now and then he might fold, and then particularly if it's like under the gun, he folds, so there's gonna be a bit of time before the next hand starts up. He's
Mhm.
find someone at the rail, do a picture, autograph, and so again, I'm biding my time. I know that Negreanu is not gonna go crazy and just bust and then like bolt out. If that happens, we're gonna get him for whatever we want. In this case, an autograph, and so I'm biding my time. And again, there's an art to waiting to the right moment because you don't want to wait after we've already met someone else on the stand. You want to wait
Right.
until he has enough time to give you the full 15 seconds of one-to-one fame that you want from him. And as you can see here, Negreanu only has 23,700 chips. So we saw that he was low stuck. We didn't see what happened prior to him in this sort of stream here, how he lost most of those chips. But he does a pretty good job. I will give him credit for in this rest of day 1C, sort of managing that small stack and not losing the rest of it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, everybody, we weren't really talking to the other people who were standing up there, but everybody was there for Daniel. And I remember, I don't know if I was with you when this happened, but somebody was leaving this area and just going somewhere else. And as he was leaving, he goes, go get him, Daniel. And Daniel, without even looking up, just goes, all right, buddy. So the guy walks away. But everybody was taking photos of him, trying to get little videos and stuff. Yeah. Can't say I blame them, but
right. And again, I knew Shelby Wells. She was one of the last women standing the year prior in 2022, along with Effie Litsu. I think she was one of the last 2 or 3 women left in the field. I think she made it to maybe either late day 5, early day 6 in that ballpark. So again, a very solid performance. And so, and obviously we see here she has like 120,000 chips. So she was obviously playing very solid poker for those first couple of levels. Let's just skip through. Is it anything that's not at the table, huh?
Yeah, we saw Jeff Platt, or at least I did, like a couple times walking around. Obviously, I didn't say hi to him or anything, but yeah, seems like a nice guy.
This is probably the biggest chip pot of the time that we were observing the action here.
Yeah, this was
the aces, jacks, of Shelby Wells, and again, pocket jacks. Again, it's just one of those such a brutal hand to play with, especially when you're this deep stacked and players can 5-bet you and have enough chips to play the hand afterwards. Where even if you think you're the best hand, you're just sort of kind of handcuffed because all it was one overcard and you're already hating your hand.
Right. I thought Angelov had played very solid up till this point too. I thought he seemed like a decent player from just the little things I'd seen of him.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I feel like the 1 seat is one of the least desirable seats because of its position to the dealer and your view of the rest of the table. So I always give props to anyone who can do well in that spot on the table.
Yeah.
And then you see even here, so you have 3 undercards here, jacks, and so you love it. But then all that does is just increase the number of hands that beat you. Those low middle pocket pairs. Obviously, you're not too worried about, but nonetheless, that any hand that has you beat is going to bet. That's another thing is that's also part of the problem with jacks in this spot too.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, in Shelby, again, she's a better player than both of us are. But I mean, what are you beating when 5-betting? When he 5-bets you, right? Like with jacks. I mean, what is he going to do that with 10s or 9s? I don't think he's going to do that with 8s now. I mean, he's probably got you with kings or aces there, I think.
I mean, best case scenario, he maybe does it with ace king suited.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe, and it's a little bit of stretch, but some players will do that. I'm not saying, but especially, but if you don't know who Angelov is, again, it's hard to get a read because amateurs don't always make the move you would expect them to make, but you don't know if he's an amateur or not either.
Yeah.
And so Shelby does make a good fold here,
That's her losses,
but loses still about a quarter of her big stack here. So again, 94,000 is still good shape, but double starting stack goes to 1.5 starting stack, just like that. We'll see a little bit. Again, we're going to keep this unmuted. And again, reminder, Go owns all this content. We are only watching content that we are physically in. So I think it's only fair that we get a chance to show it and comment on it because we are literally in this footage.
Yeah, we obviously didn't know at the time. We knew that there were cameras around, that this was being filmed. We didn't know at the time that we were actually on screen or anything. We didn't have anybody watching this at home. So this was a very pleasant surprise to be like, oh my God, we're on camera.
And then it set the expectation for me for days 2 and 3 that I could be, in the stands during the main TV table and again appear on camera, which I of course did. And
yeah, I mean, we weren't trying to get attention either, by the way. We were just there to again root for Adam. And for me, I always wanted to go to Vegas. This is my first time in Vegas. So it was kind of just exciting for me to get a feel of what the main event in Vegas were like.
And we weren't wearing hats of our podcast name or logo on them. We were just ourselves. Not trying to make a scene, just trying to be omnipresent, not trying to be a oppressive presence.
Yeah, I mean, Ben said hi to said hi to Kui Wen, said hi to a couple other players.
Rigby,
Good luck, yeah.
Tried to say hi to Joe McKeon.
Right, exactly. Nice guy.
And here we have kind of one of those classic Negreanu spots where he just has no clue where he is, but he just his read says he's good here, and he want, even though it's only 2,500, but that's still about almost 10% of his small stack here. But every chip counts from at this point, so it's imperative that he makes the right read, and he does, luckily.
Yeah.
And it gets him above 30,000. So one double up and you're over starting stacking. All is forgiven in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody was clearly happy that he'd won the pot, even if it wasn't a huge pot.
Right. So we're coming up about halfway into this portion of the stream that we are in, and then we'll move on to day 2D, part 3, rig B, and Hellmuth as in between me, or I'm in between them when they handshake. And so Sam, I know that as sort of a coda to our discussion about poker scenes in television, that you had watched a show that had a poker scene in it. So why don't you tell me what about that?
Yeah, so recently I've been watching the show Ozark, which was a show that I'd started watching like 2 years ago, and then I just never finished. So I just to explain basically what the show is like to set up the scene. It's about a money launderer who's based in Chicago, who's laundering money for the mob, or the cartel rather. His business partner steals some money from the cartel, so the cartel shows up, kills his business partner, and the money launderer, played by Jason Bateman, says, "I will go down to the Lake of the Ozarks and I will launder $8 million for you, and I'll get you your money back. Guaranteed. Just trust me. Let me and my family go, and I'll do it." So they say, okay. He goes down to Lake of the Ozarks. Season 1 is him laundering that 8 million. Spoilers. Season 2 is him laundering an additional 50 million. He's setting up a casino that will, basically launder money continuously. So along the way, he strikes deals and partnerships with a bunch of locals in the area, 2 of which factor into the poker scene. The first person he partners with is Ruth Langmore, who's this 19-year-old sort of career criminal, petty criminal living in the Ozarks. One of the best supporting characters I've ever seen in a television show, by the way, really well developed. And the other of whom is Frank Cosgrove, who's the head of the Kansas City mob, sort of like a working class union criminal type. And then his son, Frank Cosgrove Jr., is sort of like a hot-headed criminal. So that's the second character who factors into this. So it's season premiere of season 3. So Ruth is setting up a sit and go tournament to launder some more money into the casino, get some more sort of press attention for the casino. Frank Jr. goes up to her and says, "Hey, I want in on the game." She says, "Go fuck yourself." She's a very profane character. But Jason Bateman, whose character is named Marty says, let him play. We kind of need to, get a favor with his dad. We need his money. So Ruth says, okay. So the scene begins with everybody gathered around the table, and Ruth says, "Hey, thank you all for coming. This is a sit and go tournament. The buy-in is $50,000, and the blinds go up every 45 minutes," which I really liked as details, because in a lot of these episodes, we haven't seen them actually mention what the buy-in is, what the type of tournament is, or where the blinds go up. She doesn't mention what the blinds are, but she, every 45 minutes.
Hold my orange back. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, nice orange coat. So yeah, I liked those sort of details. Ruth, for some reason, asked if anybody has any questions, which I thought was kind of weird. And then all the players introduced themselves. Frank Jr. is obviously at the table. So that's the first part of the scene. And the second part is the actual hand. So it starts with an establishing shot. It's an aerial shot of the table, and everybody's put out, looks like about $200 worth of chips. So the blind's probably 100, 200. All 9 players being involved in the hand is a little weird.
Oh my God, sorry. Sorry to interrupt here, but this is like a clear shot. There's both of us just plain as day in the camera. We're actually watching the Mark Kroon hand you can see on the other side of the screen here, because they play like poker reruns all the time on those screens here. And so that's kind of an uninterrupted, good 5 seconds of us just right in the middle of the shot here. So I'm sorry. That's an unexpected treat to see us be shown like that.
Yeah, they were just showing like random just like different episodes all throughout, with all of these screens all around it. And I remember I was walking into this room where this table was, and I see a bunch of players standing off to the side in front of a television screen that was showing a hand with Alejandro Lococo. And Lococo wins the pot and gathers it in. And then one of the people who was standing in front of that screen turns to the group and says, "That was me, by the way. That was Alejandro Lococo standing there watching his own hand with this group of people," which I thought was really funny. Anyway, so
back to your
yes, back to the hand.
Sorry.
So all 9 players are involved, which is odd, but okay. The flop is dealt. It's the queen of hearts, jack of spades, eight of hearts. Then the like scene kind of goes into this like sort of there's no audio. You just see a bunch of players just kind of like putting in chips. Some of the players are folding. Frank seems to call. It looks like I can't really tell, just sort of like distant sort of like motions like this. So you can't tell if they're putting in, if they're calling or raising or whatever. The turn's the six of hearts. So another player puts out some bet. The bet's not announced, so you don't know what exactly the denominations are. And Frank Jr. goes, "What the fuck? Are you really trying to sweat me like that? You know, do you trying to mess with me?" And he says, "You really think you're going to bluff me on a flush?" Which I think is a weird line to say. I don't know what that means, bluff me on a flush. Anyway, Ruth steps up to the table and says, "Sorry, there's no cursing or addressing other players at the table," which again, some casinos have a rule against swearing.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of makes sense. It's funny coming from her because she's the most profane character in the entire show. If there's one meme that's come from Ozark, it's the line, "I don't know shit about fuck," which she says at the season 2 finale. She swears throughout the whole show. So it's kind of funny hearing that. Anyway, Frank asks for how much chips the other guy has. The other guy says he has 19,000. So Frank calls, still kind of swearing at the guy, you know, fuck you. So then it cuts to Ruth, who's kind of like frowning at him. And then it cuts to Marty, who's in the sort of control room watching through the security cameras, everything going on. And then we don't see the river being dealt or the river action. We just see Frank with his cards sort of like holding them up like this, and then he mucks. And we can kind of see that the river looks like it's the 10 of hearts or something. I can't quite tell. It's again kind of a distant shot. And Frank's like, "Oh, you know, you got fucking lucky. You know, you're an asshole." Keeps sort of swearing at the guy. And then Ruth says, "Okay, now we're kicking you out. You have to leave for swearing at him." And then says, "Oh, do you really want to do this? Well, I know all about you. So do you really want to kick me out of the casino?" So then Ruth kind of pauses and then says, "Get him out of the fucking casino." So he gets kicked out. And that's the scene. That's all that happens. We don't see any other poker action. It's just that. So it's sort of like a non-poker poker scene is how I would describe it. Again, this sets up a scene later on in the episode. Frank confronts Ruth and threatens to kill her, basically. So she kicks him in the nuts and throws him off the top of the casino, which was a very nice scene. And that, again, sets up action later on this season. I don't want to spoil the show for anybody. But yeah, it's like a very sort of odd scene. I mean, it's dramatically relevant. It's an entertaining scene, but it's just kind of odd how poker is used. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, it's in a casino. We need to have poker. So we're just going to throw this in. It could have easily been dice or something else if they had wanted it.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I know I've only watched, I think, the pilot of Ozark. But it does seem like, you know, that scene wasn't just kind of a throwaway like in Breaking Bad or just like meant to be like a continuity thing, fill in for Better Call Saul or something. It felt like, you know, that there was a lot to that scene, even if maybe the poker part of it wasn't, you know, the main focus, just sort of the background to what the character interactions were supposed to be. So
yeah.
So it sounds like you enjoyed that you got to watch that scene given our recent discussion. So that was great. Let's see. As far as this here, we have about our 19 minutes before the big talk of Negreanu, and we didn't stick around very long after that conversation. We kind of
I think we had to go somewhere.
Yes, as you can see here, this is just some 2015 main event action rerun, if you want to call it a rerun. Episodes playing. I definitely recall it being sort of the mid 2010s being the episodes that they showed, kind of random, but I guess you know, to each their own as far as what they want to broadcast. Again, you can still see us back there. We're kind of wearing red and blue, kind of classic player 1, player 2 colors right there. And again, I have my book in my little string backpack at the ready at a moment's notice to be like, boom, let's get this autograph. So you can see Negreanu just now a second ago. He's walking around there, and again, I'm biding my time. I'm not going to rush. He's going to, you know, you lure the fish in to you, and then you get to cook it. And again, he's like right next to us here, but we're waiting.
Yeah, we can talk about, you know, straight draw. And even you could be drawing Betty, but queen, you know, queen nine. There's not many good
I got my 10 cents right. Yeah, so he's literally right in front of us, right there. And we're just
he kind of had his back to us, so we can't really say anything.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah, he's bantering with people. He, you know, super nice guy. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
and you know, even when he's not doing great, you know, chip wise, he's still able to keep a positive attitude. I mean, he might have a few like, you know, like sarcastic comments about, oh, it's not a great day or something like that. But you know, nonetheless, you know, he knows in this structure that, you know, he has even here still 66 big blinds, no panic mode yet. And you know, he obviously thinks, you know, he's the best player at the table, so don't worry, the cards will come to you if they do,
Right,
if they ever will.
exactly, yeah.
And even here, you know, he was still embodying the limping is pimping strategy. He was limping a lot of hands. You saw him limp the king queen there. And again, I do think that limping is something that should be back in style. I know that I think it was probably a losing move. Maybe like 15 years ago when you had all those crazy, you know, raised such as pre-flop. You know, you limp in hoping to maybe see a free or a cheap flop, but then something hit like 10x, and it's like, well, not so free anymore. But nonetheless, I definitely think I'll be trying more limping in my future too, just to, you know, get into that mindset.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of limping at this table. I didn't really notice that as a tactic, so it would be interesting to change that up a little bit, maybe.
And again, I ask you, Sam, if, you know, again, imagine I know you're playing $10,000 main event, fine, unlikely, but if you were at a table like this, what would be what would just kind of be your sort of your range of sorts? Because I know you're a tight player, but I know on day one you also want to be able to see a lot of hands where the blinders are pretty low.
I would still be pretty tight, I think. You know me. I mean, I like my strategy, you know, make the fewest mistakes, get a good read of the situation, and just go from there. I mean, that's how I would do it personally.
Do you think you'd be defending your big blind pretty liberally, or would you be still pretty tight? If you'd be heads up even.
I don't know. I mean, it's again, I'd be so conservative if I'm playing for 10,000, if I've got $10,000 already in. But also, if I have a backer, I think I'd be even more conservative. Even if I only had like $10 of my own action.
Well, I mean, imagine, you know, PokerStars does a sweepstakes, you know, you enter your username in, you get $10,000 free, you know, you're only paying for your plane ticket and your hotel. Maybe you're less nervous at that point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That kind of be the one situation where you think you'd be not so nervous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paying for my Chris Angel Mind Freak tickets.
We just saw Shelby Wells there call 7,000 more to see a flop of ace-4 suited out of position. I'm not sure I like that play.
I don't like it either. Yeah.
If you have positions, that's one thing. If you know, obviously a suited ace is never a bad hand, but against a guy that three bets you and he's got relatively low chips, so he's probably going to be playing a little bit tight. I don't know. I think I fold the ace-4.
Yeah, I would have folded too. Yeah.
So it was 10,500. So a flop at 21 big blinds to see a flop of ace-4.
And Rosen hadn't really been active up until this point. He hadn't been splashing around a lot.
And
so
again, 10,000, that's a lot of chips. Now Wells has only 85,000 there. I mean, you know, the spelling out of control a little bit, you could argue.
Yeah, I mean, ace-4 of clubs, I mean, it's not the worst hand, but I mean, if you hit an ace, like, you're not going to be super happy with it.
Right.
So.
Because either you're beat by a bigger ace or someone's afraid of the ace and will almost fold if you make it. So
exactly. So.
Yeah. And you know, I can't stress just the energy and just the poker aura that is in these rooms when you're watching. It's just fun because you know that someone's going to walk away from this thing with $12 million, and it could be, you know, Phil Ivey, the top pro in the world, or it could be, you know, average Joe from, you know, Wyoming, Montana, Ville, you know, halfway across the country. So it's just it's amazing how I think this event should get more press and more respect, because, you know, again, I know that NFL players are making $200 million contracts and stuff, but this is, you know, your average Joe.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is gambling has such a low, hence why a show like Ozark would use gambling, you know, tie it to Mexican drug cartels and serial killers and whatever is on the show. Not that there's any serial killers on Ozark, but, you know, it has such a sort of low brand value that, you know, Nike wouldn't be willing to endorse Daniel Negreanu. It's, you know, it has to kind of stay niche, which is a shame.
I understand.
Yeah.
Here in Negreanu with the old ace-10 blackjack. You know, ace-10, I like it, but I also don't like it. I feel like I lose of ace-10 a lot because it never seems to be, it's one notch below like a really solid hand.
Yeah, exactly. Especially ace-10 off. Well, you can hit two different flushes.
And here, as you can see, ace-10 can just get you into trouble here because you have a double paired board, and, you know, pocket tens has got you beat. And Negreanu goes to the tank here, of course. As we're getting very close to the intersection of fates.
Very true.
And Negreanu, of course, pays it off and sees the bet news, and again drops back below 25,000, which, again, on day one, I'd be pretty tilted, pretty upset if I was on to 25,000 here on this level. I mean, obviously you're still not 50 big blinds, but I'd like to think that I'll be playing pretty tight, and therefore I'm only playing with good cards, and therefore I'm only winning with good cards. But,
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not that simple. And you see, again, I still have, it's kind of blocked by the chip counts graphics, but you can still see my orange bag. I'm ready to go with my book. That was kind of on my list of realistic autograph opportunities. I didn't think Hellmuth would be very likely because of how hard it is for him to stay in one place at one time. He's always being moved. And Negreanu does do the autograph thing quite regularly with a lot of his fans. So
yeah, I think we both sort of like Ben had told me like I'm gonna get his autograph, and so I kind of like agreed to step back a little bit so that he could get Negreanu's attention. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want like a handshake or anything.
Handshake,
like,
don't need
photograph,
that photo.
silly.
You know, it's. I mean, I would take it, but I also think that it's kind of cool to have something stay, in your head and be personal to you versus, well, let me show you my photo.
Yeah, I mean, sharing a moment with somebody, saying good luck or, thanks for all you do. I think that's like more meaningful than like, Mr. Negreanu, can I have a photograph? That's just always how I felt.
I understand. We're getting very close. It's pretty much after this hand that we get to have our conversation, and luckily he was in a better mood because he wins this pretty important pot against Shelby Wells, who had a lot of outs to beat him on it, but of course Negreanu had river to pair when he had a flush draw, so it was a complicated little run up there. I might even just unmute the last in about a minute just so that we have the chance to hear everything that leads up to our conversation too. But so you can see my book right there very clearly. I have it right here. That's the same book. And I have a pen. That's the pen that's kind of bending the spine of the book a little bit because I was ready to go here.
There's Jeff Platt.
Jeff Platt's talking to some guy I've never heard of about. Don't care about.
That's a nice hat.
So we'll skip through this.
Should give the man
and
first.
Thank goodness that he didn't have the interview while we were talking to Negreanu. Like he dodged a bullet. It's coming up in less than 50 seconds. So I'm going to max the volume out just so that we hear everything.
Yep.
My favorite things is a lot of those home game leagues. What they do is the person who wins the seat gets half of the buy-in, and the other 50% are split up between other players. I think that's the greatest thing you can do. Everyone has a beat, get a little bit of equity back, and you send your best forward forward. It is so cool to hear about all of the leagues in the U.S. across the country. It's in small towns and big cities. It's just incredible how many of those there are. And especially in places where poker isn't legal, you can still do that. Yeah, it's cool. Here, well, play for the points. Send one guy to the main event. All got a few pieces. What you have with a great hand to bluff here. Queen high, gut shot, flush draw. That's what you get for third rate. Playing so well today. I think he's going to be real happy with his decisions.
I'm going to go back and put it at 1x speed. That way it's easier to hear
it. So
just be very careful. So you can see Negreanu is right there. We're going to do 1x speed. We're going to rewind, and then here we go. Especially in places where poker isn't legal, you can still do that. Yeah, it's cool. Here, well, play for the points. Send one guy to the main event. All got a few pieces. What's your hands off with a great hand to bluff here. Queen high, gut shot, flush draw. Playing so well today. I think he's going to be real happy. All right, that's it. If you hopefully when we play this video back after our recording of the episode is done, you can hear it more clearly. But that was it. It was a good couple back and it's kind of hard to hear me, so I had to repeat myself once, but no big deal. It was amazing. And again, I'll show the autograph I got. That's it right there. You can see it on the Negreanu page on the other side there. So that was awesome. Very sweet. And again, that kind of like made that entire spectating experience just worth it all. You can still see us in the background there. We don't stick around for too much longer, but because we kind of had that great moment there. But we're always moving around trying to see some other tables action stuff. But that was just amazing.
My back was hurting so bad.
Yeah, it's amazing how we're just sort of standing still and watching, and maybe you're a little tense. Just my lower back and we're not even that old yet. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I might need to get some ice packs or something for next time, or I don't know. But
yeah, it was really fun seeing that, and I'm really thankful that he was able to come over, because I don't get starstruck. Like even when Ben was talking to him, like I don't get starstruck, but it was a very nice thing for him to do. I really appreciated that. And
again, we were lucky that it was not cut off by the Jeff Platt interview. That would have been disastrous.
Yeah.
But now I'm putting the book away, or at least so you can see me flip through the book right there, and yeah,
we're both just looking at each other like, it's so cool.
Yeah, and so we'll cut away from when we eventually leave, and then we'll move on to day 2D, part 3, which was, I guess, a couple days later, because they had day 2 ABC in between day 1C and 2D. So this is, again, that point, it'll be, we'll give the context at that point, but nonetheless here we have this hand here, let's just make sure we skip through that, see if we're still there. It's the wrong part of the table. Wait, no, that's the wrong part of the table again.
Still one part of the table.
Renew
Yeah.
the ball. Okay, so I think
Yeah,
now
we're
you'll see we've left, so we're moving on here. So that is the longest portion of any of these streams here. We're gonna move on to day 3. I'm sorry, day 2D, part 3, and it's actually the first. Is it day 2D? Did I just totally mess that up? I don't think it. Day 2.
Day, do you have that written
Let's
down?
see.
Day 2,
I
part 3.
wouldn't have messed that up, right? So this is actually at the very start of the action. So I'm not there at the very beginning of the stream, but I get there very quickly. So, and this is only for about the first 20 minutes of the stream that while Hellmuth's still in there. So here we go. Here Rigby has the table not out chipped, but definitely getting there for sure. You can see he's got 683,000 chips, and the next stack is at 205,000.
Yeah, I wasn't there for this, by the way.
Oh, wait,
so-
wait, hold on, where's Hellmuth? Oh shoot, that's not right. No Hellmuth, right? I have the wrong one. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
This will be quick. It's the one with Hellmuth. Oh, he's in. Oh, sorry. It was part.
Blue turn.
Part 1.
Oh, why am I so confused here? No, what? It's probably part 2. It's part 2. Sorry, guys. Little technical glitch here. It's part 2. Bingo. This is it. So this is from minute 3 onward.
Mhm.
All right, we'll mute that.
There he is.
And so I'm going to come in from the right
There he
there I am right
yeah.
there. There I am. You can see me walking towards the middle there. I'm right behind where the Rigby angle kind of is. Got my backpack, got my coat, same coat as the day before. Very exciting here. This is when I got to say, oh, Rigby, you're doing great. Keep going. Or maybe it was on day 3 or something like that. But either way, I did manage to speak with Rigby for like 2 seconds, and that was pretty amazing too, considering he was, the main character of this main event for the first, half, 2/3 or so.
Yeah, he's had such an incredible run as a character, so to speak. I remember watching his hand against Jensen where he got him to fold the kings last year, and that was just so sick.
Exactly. And so you can see me right there on the right. I'm kind of all by myself, except for there's one guy in the hat on that stand right there. And Hellmuth has right here, he's at 108,000, and the blinds are still only 600, 1,200. So it's again, he's very deep, and I certainly didn't expect him to go anytime soon. Little did I know what was to come.
Yeah, I wasn't there for this, unfortunately, so Ben had to handle this on his own. But he was telling me updates and things, and it's like, oh my God, this hand with Hellmuth, I'm in the background of it, so that was pretty cool.
There's me right there. You can saw me briefly
there you are.
on the right side of the screen when the angle cut to that. And again, it's pretty cool. Besides Hellmuth and Rigby, I didn't know anyone else at this table, and I don't really recall seeing any of them later on in the action ever really. So
yeah.
not that that's a big deal or anything. I'm just pointing it out here. And again, so this is at the point in the trip where Sam and company have gone home. Adam is actually still in the main event right now. This is the level that he busted in. So he and Hellmuth lasted a fairly similar amount of time in the main event, actually. I was kind of in the hallway adjacent to the room that he was playing in, Adam, and I figure I would go out to the stage here. You can see me again right there briefly on the right there, wearing my blue, the Piz home serve undershirt, by the way. So other chaps, you're welcome. And I was taking a break from being in the hallway with my laptop. I wanted to say some action, and I actually missed Adam's text saying that he busted. So I didn't, as I was so engrossed with the action here that it wasn't until maybe like a good half hour, 45 minutes after Adam had lost that I heard from him. And he had like 48,000 at the start of this level. So again, 40 big blinds is not terrible, but obviously it's below starting stack, so he wasn't in the best mood, but he was still in there. But unfortunately, he lost in that big run out. But again, I was still very checked into this moment here, watching this table at the time, though.
Yeah, I was able to see Hellmuth obviously with his grand entrance, which I just accidentally stumbled into, and obviously managed to record the whole thing. So I got to have a little moment with Hellmuth.
I'm actually kind of cut off by the word diaper probably on the screen here, so you have to. That's the quadrant of the arena that I am watching from. And I had my Hellmuth moment 2 years prior when he gave me a head nod. And so that was, I at least have in my encyclopedia of memories a Hellmuth moment and a Negreanu moment and a Rigby moment, I guess you could say. So I guess all that leaves is me, and of course my infamous Mass Out moment too.
Right.
So hopefully next is Relive or something like that. I don't know, pretty
That'd
cool.
be neat.
And anyway, so on day 2 here, obviously still way too early for the bubble, the money
Oh, yeah.
stuff
Oh,
to
yeah.
be in your mind. When would that really be a factor in your gameplay if you were in the main event?
Wow, that's a tough decision. I mean, I guess 100 people out. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm a tight player, so I mean, I wouldn't change that strategy going
Mhm.
into the main event, especially as I mentioned earlier with $10,000 I've already put up.
There's
So,
me again in the background there in the blue shirt.
yeah,
Again, just where's Waldo? Where's Ben? There's me. Um, and again, I'm not watching this with the stream up because it's on a half-hour delay, and also I
right.
want to watch, not be on my screen the whole time looking up like an idiot. But I knew that I would. Oh, there's my bony neck right there. You can see that.
Mm.
Very exciting.
So as you're sitting there, like what's sort of going through your mind? What are you thinking about? Are you trying to latch on specifically to Rigby and Hellmuth? Are you watching the other players?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. If it hadn't been Rigby and Hellmuth at the table, if it had been just a bunch of no names, I probably wouldn't have. Oh, there's me again in my face. Haha.
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't have cared as much about the table's, action. I mean, obviously, Adam is still alive in my head at this point, so that's my top, thought process is how is he doing?
Mhm.
Because people can spin up a short stack into a big stack just like that. Boom, boom, boom. You win 3 all-ins back to back to back, and you're, the chip leader the whole tournament.
Right.
But obviously, for Adam, he had been up to this point, had 3 straight day 3 performances, and so on day 2, I'm thinking like it's either going to be a letdown or he's going to match his best, and otherwise, I'm just trying to I'm sitting down watching, so I'm trying to be present, but also trying to save energy too, because it's a long vacation. I'm still not 100% or even close to that, so you're just trying to make the best of every day you can when
Yeah.
you're sick. There's me again briefly again. Not very excited. I know. Hellmuth, there's mine again. You can see it. You can't see the logo of my shirt, but obviously it's the Piz Strummed email reference, guys, to all you internet encyclopedists.
Yeah. Was anything different about the other people? Like, I know you weren't sitting with somebody else. Did you notice there any different sort of audience response while Hellmuth was in a hand?
There was not with Hellmuth, but definitely with Rigby.
With
He
Rigby?
had some guys with some alcohol in their system, cheering, kind of getting a little rowdy. That was kind of funny. Rigby, obviously, he kind of seems like a beer buddy frat guy kind of guy, so it definitely kind of made sense with the brand. And I'm not a drinker, so I don't really relate to that, but nonetheless, that was definitely something. Maybe I see those guys kind of standing up on the side there. That's kind of who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And again, there's me right there. A nice steady shot of me right in the middle there of my blue shirt. My oh, yep, there's my nose, my bony nose. I think, is this the hand?
The Hellmuth bus?
This might be the Hellmuth hand. Yep, this is it. This is it. This is it. All right, I'm gonna unmute this. So this is the
10
hand.
and a 10-9. Bottom pair for Phil Hellmuth. The overcard for Jones.
There's me. I'm watching this. I'm like, what?
For Rigby as disaster.
The money's going in.
Jones in flipped place. The disaster somewhat awaits here. Rigby's such a hard guy to fold to with what we've seen over the years. Phil knows that raise in front of him. Let's see how Hellmuth proceeds. Wet texture as well. They could attempt straight flush draw combos.
All right.
He's flat 8,000 now. Fact not lost on Rigby, who is going to be heads up moving forward. Is that Hellmuth likes the soul play and trap.
And ball.
Rigby just making change there for Phil. They like the call, as you said. Check. Just stop at 30 in there. See if Hellmuth can somehow avert tournament disaster. That is not an averting kind of card. No, all. Reduce the hearts. Coupon texture develops 28 in the middle. That's the dark check from Phil. Draws a second barrel from Rigby. Sizable 36K. See the discomfort for Phil, who has made a reputation of folding big hand from time to time. Would this be one of them? Let's observe, Hellmuth. I'm like, oh. But Hellmuth's drawn a 9. Big hands, small pair, 9 and 10. Big hands. Big 10. Wow. 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 That's a big hand. Big hand. Cue the boys to men, Nick. End of the road. As Rigby has skills hunting Nina and Nina alone.
No, I haven't seen their cards yet, though. When I'm watching, it's kind of hard to see. So I haven't seen it yet until Hellmuth stands up and leaves.
Stay alive. Again, without answer. And it's no. Without it. As Nick Rigby. I think it's the most decorated poker. 17 to 9 bracelet. I'll pick one up this summer already. Phil Hellmuth showing some sportsmanship.
All right, I'll be much of muting that. So again, I was shocked to see that many chips go in, and Rigby obviously having to overbet the flop to make that pot size swell that quickly. But I was shocked, but it just seemed like, maybe it was Rigby's time here. There's me. So I got from my seat and kind of stand over the rail there. I'm talking to the guy, explaining what happened, and so I'm still talking about my favorite player of all time is gone, but it at least was to Rigby in an entertaining hand.
Yeah. I think you told me about this the next day. I can't remember when exactly I heard about it, but it was like, wow, it happened. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then I there's me right there. Boom! You can see me just sitting there. I'm right in the middle of the shot. That was like that was the thumbnail for that episode of our podcast
Right.
back then. That was just so cool that I
was very
right
cool.
there in the middle there. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, and obviously I can't hear Hellmuth's interview afterwards, but that kind of woke me up a little bit. So that's why you see me no longer sitting now and standing. I'm talking to some guy about how big that hand was, and I didn't stay too much longer, but you can see now I'm right there in the shot, right there above the Asian gentleman's head, and my face is blocked by the graphics again. But that's what happens. But
Your eyes are kind of unblocked.
that's true. That's me, not my twin. That's actually me. He wouldn't. He'd already gone home. And again, there I am again.
There you are
Bingo,
still.
bingo. So cool. I mean, am I on TV now?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna be a guy that doesn't play play poker for money, you might as well be on TV while they're playing
Yeah,
for it.
exactly.
Oh, boom! There we go. I'm talking. It's pretty cool.
Chatting it up.
Obviously, if you want to see how many seconds I'm on screen for, you need to slow down this podcast watching of it by half the speed because this is a 2x speed on Poker Go. But it's still just like a couple minutes there of me being on camera if you splice all the
Right.
bits together into
Yeah.
one thing, and it's pretty cool. It's too bad that Poker Go is going to eventually get rid of this stuff,
Yeah.
but that's why we're doing this.
Or, if Poker Go just wants to include a clip of us, just like a random clip of us in one of their episodes, we'll take this video down and,
Yeah, exactly. Or we'll just black it out. That way our audio is still.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
this. But I'm still there in the background there. You can see me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm repeating myself by saying that, but it's pretty cool. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This, the most low budget podcast on YouTube of all time. And there we are in Vegas on camera. I mean, come on, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Here's Rigby with the Dirty Diapers 5 deuce, right? Or is it 4 deuce?
Remember that they had all the different nicknames when they were going over it with Maria Ho in the booth during the later day actions. I think I'm still there, but then it cuts to the other tables, and therefore during this interim I left. So that's the end of me appearing on day 2, but that was not the end of me. I'm still there on day 3. Day 3 part of it, this is when Doug Polk was playing on the TV table as the countdown to the bubble was happening. We're not quite. Let's see where
there you are.
Yeah, you see me right there. I'm in the right again. I'm wearing my same jacket, but I'm wearing a light blue t-shirt. And again, as you can see, we're only 131 spots out of the money. So I don't know. You said you'd be worried about 100, but I'm sure you'd be feeling the same thing at this point.
Yeah, I would just be nervous, generally speaking, on day 3. I mean.
Yeah, and again, I watched for a fairly sizable amount of time, but it was a lot of it was during the time when they were showing tables 2 and 3. So you don't see me as much as maybe you might expect, given how long I was watching the action from the rails there. But nonetheless, Doug Polk, you can see here, has 500,000 chips, blinds 3 and 6. This table pretty sizably stacked. Maybe there's 2 kind of short stacks there, but otherwise everyone's pretty comfortable. And I won't say you can just fold away to the money, but a lot of these players are definitely near that wheelhouse where they could if they really wanted to.
I mean, yeah, Davenport needs some chips, but Bardsley here could just, he doesn't really need to be screwing around with Queen Jack suited. I mean, yeah, it's a decent hand. You can hit some flops, but just kind of get out of the way here.
Well, he's lucky that this flop wasn't rearranged to have the ace and 10 of clubs on the flop, and then the other guy has like I said, it's 6 rounds if we got shot, and then ultimately, doesn't miss. But nonetheless, so again, this is a different sort of viewing experience for me because I'm a fan of Doug Polk. I've watched his YouTube videos, but I'm definitely ranking a little bit lower than say Hellmuth and Negreanu as far as who I root for in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, I like Doug Polk too. Obviously, he's had quite a bit of drama over the years, but yeah, his YouTube stuff's all been pretty good.
And he has had a couple of recent main event cashes, so he's not just sort of bagling his way in the recent. He's kind of had a mini resurgence back into the poker tournament scene. We talked about his heads-up match against Jameson Kuhn for the heads-up championship bracelet, and how he kind of blew it, even though he was playing so well. If he just plays that one hand differently, he probably wins the thing, honestly. But again, I'm happy for Kuhn, though. I'm not going to say much for him. Right. And I did see him at the casino where I saw Kasuf and Joe McKeon and Son, by the way. Here we are. So again, with 3,000 and 6,000 blinds, Austin, let's put you into the body of one of these players. So let's say you are this guy Michael. He's got 431,000 chips. What's really kind of your game plan here? Are you just folding your way to day 4, or are you actually mixing things up still a little bit?
I might mix things up a little bit. I like it's hard to do hypotheticals. The fact that I would have made it this far and I have, 431,000, like that's a miracle in and of itself. Yeah, I mean, I would still just keep to my game. If I'm having to make adjustments, little things here and there, I can make adjustments here and there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to play King 9 offsuit. I'm not going to play
Even now, can I know?
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be playing these, not optimal hands.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be, if I was at a lunch do, I would not be calling with 10-9 there, things like that.
I guess for me, the thing is that I want to have chips, but I also want to have enough chips where during that post bubble, flurry of bust outs, I want to be able to have enough chips where I can still be able to play poker and maybe pick off some of those short stacks that are busting, because
Yeah.
then you can really, get some relatively risk-free chips by that point. Everyone's shoving the ace five when they have five big blinds. Okay, I got ace jack. I'm going to get those chips, coming my way. But obviously, 400,000. I probably just fold my way down to day four. I mean, this is I want to say this was the last level before the end of the day. Yeah, this was the last level of the day. So the timer obviously is showing you how much time is left, and so
Right.
you can kind of calculate how many minutes per orbit, and you can kind of figure out how many chips you're folding away if you just automatically fold every hand you have.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be a tough call for me to make, like what exactly my activity would be on day three. I mean, the 100 left until the money, and then obviously after the money bubble bursts and all the short stacks are going out. Those are such big periods, in terms of maneuvering your stack. If you're a big stack, you're obviously able to chip up and apply pressure to a lot of people, and then again, get some of those people who are busting out. But if you're, a short or small stack, it's just so tricky.
Let's see, you can see me again on the right there. So after you discussed Ozark, that reminded me, I did finally catch the last act of the film Lucky You, which, if you guys recall, we were unable to watch due to the DVD malfunctioning, and we just sort of gave up at that point. There's me again in my jacket, my shirt, the blue in the back, on the left top above the big panini. So I watched it, and again, we stopped right at the point where the poker championship is taking place. It was the scene after Sam Farha talks to Huck about, oh, I just lost to this guy his first tournament, which is not in the moneymaker. And so from that point on, it's pretty much all poker, besides the very, very end scene and one scene in the bathroom between Huck and his father during the final table portion of the third act. And so the problem with that is that it really doesn't gel well with the first two acts, in that all those side characters that we kind of liked seeing, the side action, the side bets, the Robert Downey Jr. doing the psychiatry and the stuff like that, none of those characters come back to the movie. And the poker scenes, the only one that really ties into anything was the guy that Huck lost that satellite to, where the river wasn't burned. Huck beats him in a hand where he calls a hero call a fourth pair. There's me again, by the way, and knocks him out. But besides that, there's really no thematic or plot sort of connectivity to the main championship. And there's like one scene we had seen before the tournament takes place with Deborah Messing and Drew Barrymore's characters talking about Huck, but Drew Barrymore does watch the final table from like the background during that part of the film, but it was there was nothing that sort of tied together the whole film, and so I was really caught off guard. Now the poker itself, again, it's shot similar to the first two acts. It's realistic. It's shot like it all makes sense, so to speak. I only have two beats. I'll get to that in a second. But the poker is just not very exciting. There's no real suspense, because we know Huck's gonna move on to the final table. I mean, imagine he mixed it like out in like 30th place. That would make no sense at all. And Matt Savage, he is the tournament director. He plays a fictional character with a different name, but that's Matt Savage for all intents and purposes.
Okay.
And there's not really like a Norman Chad or a Lot McCarran XP in the presentation of the championship, unfortunately. So again, the poker action just kind of comes and goes, and then the final table takes up a considerable more amount of time than the build up to the final table.
Okay.
And so again, there are a few players like Johnny World, who is playing a fictional character by a different name, which I'm not to use his name. I don't know. Did really want to not just be himself? I don't know. And then obviously there's a bunch of actors who are playing the rest of the table. And to my big surprise, the guy that plays the moneymaker sort of replacement, he's not even like a character.
Oh.
He's not earlier in the film. He's not shown like in a hand of really with Huck beforehand or anything. He's just kind of like a stand-in, kind of like how the poker players like Negreanu were in the earlier scenes during the poker
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so that was unfortunate. I thought that could have at least done something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it wasn't really needed, but it would have helped, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So the two big problems I have with the final table stuff is that Matt Savage, he literally narrates every action. So Huck folds, he folds, he folds, he makes it $1 million. Like he's like narrating every single action, and whenever there's a bet or a call, the whole audience like golf claps like oh my God, that's so exciting. Like this does not happen in real life.
Yeah, that's very
It's very silly. And then they make a point to show that at the final table there's hell cams, and everyone at the table is showing their cards to the whole cam besides Huck, which is an odd choice. Like you'd think that it'd be a mandatory rule, but I guess the implication in the script was that it was optional, but only Huck took that option to not do it, which obviously pays off in the sense that when he mucks the winning hand to his dad, it's because his cards weren't shown, therefore it would have been feasible for him to do that. But nonetheless, it was just a very strange idea. They would need whole cams to make the script work anyway, but regardless. So final table is playing out. So okay, so be it. Huck is down to the final three. He busts John Hennigan's character in like fourth place, whatever. And then there's a pretty lengthy hand where ultimately Dad says, "I got two kings, show me your bullets." And Huck mucks the cards without even showing, gives all his chips to his dad basically. And it really didn't sit well with me because the scene prior, at the table, Huck learned that his deceased mom forgave his dad for leaving her, and that's why he had the ring back in the first place. That Huck would, they would have the ring dances with later in the script. And what didn't make sense was, okay, so Huck just kind of realizing maybe his dad isn't such a bad guy after all. So then why wouldn't you just play him in a fair, like man-to-man poker game? Why are you like forfeiting your right to a tournament when you're not? He's not alone. He has you covered, so it's not like he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you sort of like almost devalue or sort of ruin the integrity of a poker game with him by potentially forfeiting your right to another $1 million? It didn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah.
So ultimately, the very next hand, as Huck's being interviewed by reporters, Huck's dad is all in of ace king. I forget his name, something Huck's dad, sorry. And Jason Keys has ace queen, ace on the flop. So they all in queen river. So that's how he has to get 3 outed to lose. Predictably. And then it cuts to Drew Barrymore and Huck sort of making up, and the dad and son play poker with nickels, dimes, and pennies like they did when they were younger. So, hunky do. One of the most least convincing love stories in movie history is complete, and the dad and son bond is restored. So,
what a great movie.
No return of Mocha Joe, no Robert Downey Jr., no the guy that like staked Huck the $10,000 to play in the main event that he didn't gamble if he lost. None of that mentioned at all, just totally unrelated and never mentioned again.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like the scene that I watched from Ozark, it was like a non-poker scene, as I mentioned, and that really like the scene was just supposed to serve a dramatic purpose. The poker's kind of secondary, versus for you, the poker was primary and the drama was secondary. And it's not trying to brag, but like Ozark is clearly better. Like it's just kind of funny how we're both poker aficionados. We both love poker and poker media, but poker is just does not lend itself to scripted drama or comedy very well at all.
I know, and it's insane because we already discussed just how much poker was in Lucky You before the last act, and the ratio increases even further for that final act. Like it's a ridiculous, and it's just the hands just aren't entertaining. Like I can't imagine any poker player, moviegoer who plays poker, or goer who likes movies, just nobody is going to enjoy that amount of poker. And then a very like an afterthought of a love story and an afterthought of a father-son story.
Yeah, I mean, poker is exciting to watch on television, in part, yes, because of the personalities.
There's me again.
Yeah, but also because like there's real money at stake, right? There's $12.1 million at stake here. Like that's what's exciting. Like poker in and of itself, just like random people playing poker for no money because it's fake. That's not exciting in and of itself. It's the actual stakes that are attached to poker that make it exciting. So it's like it can't really lend itself to good drama. You have to spice it up and add fiction.
All right, this is the end of the poker stuff that I'm in. So we're gonna cut away from that. But sorry, continue.
No, that was sort of the point I made. It's like poker just can't quite lend itself to dramatic characters. I mean, we gave Casino Royale like a 4 out of 5. Like that's probably the best review, and even then, like poker, and that's in that movie, it's a stretch to call it a poker movie. You know, it just doesn't quite gel with.
Yeah, I mean, the poker in Lucky You, the poker itself is not bad. It's not like a straight flush against royal flush or
yeah.
top quads against quads. You know, one scene Huck busts John Hennigan's character. He's got bottom set against top two pair. You know, that's realistic. That would happen in a final table. And again, that isn't the problem. The problem is that the context of the poker is not exciting. Like, imagine I try to think of what would make poker exciting. I guess there'd be a scene where, like, I don't know, like I have a bomb strapped to your chest, and if you don't win the tournament, I'm going to kill you. Like, I don't know. I guess you'd be in suspense of what would happen there. I don't know. But in this case, Huck's just kind of a nothing character, and he's a loser that, you know, lies to a girl that he supposedly is in love with, that they had like 2 dates together with. I mean, it just, everything about this film just fails. And, you know, I'd given it a 2 out of 5 when we discussed it. I wouldn't go 1 out of 5, but I feel like if I went to decimals, I'm probably the last act bumped down by a half point to 1.5 out of 5 for me, because again, just the last act just doesn't really work with the rest of the film in totality.
Yeah, the sense I get from watching Lucky You, or thinking about it in hindsight, is like, okay, Robert Downey Jr. at the time was a big movie star. Like, he's like, hey, I want to be in this movie. So they just wrote a scene and threw him in. You know, they have this Bob Dylan song, so they have to put Bob Dylan in there somewhere. You know, they just keep like, all right, let's just throw this into the script. You know, we'll figure it out in post. You know, we'll edit it together and it'll seem nice. People will go see it because it's Robert Downey Jr. and Eric Bana and whatever. Drew Barrymore and whatever.
Robert
like,
Duvall.
you know, it's almost amazing just how film and television is just like, the producers just get to do whatever they want, you know. And if the big celebrities, they're like, all right, I get to just be in this movie now, and you have to put me in the movie, and that's just what Lucky You feels like.
And it's funny that literally you could take out half of the poker scenes, and there's still be too much poker in this movie. Like, it's just pretty crazy, honestly. And I remember I kind of dug the first scene. It was not that bad. It was the pawn shot with the ring, and that there's kind of a comedy to it, but it's a good character introduction scene as well. And I had, you know, not the greatest expectations in the world, but I was like, oh, this maybe some hope here, maybe. And then it just went downhill from there. But
yeah, I mean, a couple of the scenes, like, you know, the scene, you know, the gut scene between Robert Duvall and Eric, like, in a different context, like if there was different scenes before and after that, and you change the dialogue a little bit, that scene in theory could work, right? A romantic comedy, just generally speaking around poker, that could work. It's just, you need to cut out 3/4 of the poker stuff. You need to stop throwing in Robert Downey Jr. and all these random people. Like, you just have to tighten the script and get it right.
yeah, you know, and having that golf bet was I guess probably the highlight of the film in that sense.
Kind of
so it was out of the blue. It was not Huck walking to some other location and the Huck not playing cards and then losing money off screen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then the device even of Eric Bana throwing away the cards, that was in the movie with Michael Madsen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Like, they're
all in.
Yeah. Like, these tropes are being cycled and recycled. Didn't have pointless narration, so that was kind of nice. It didn't have, you know, throwing.
It wasn't out of order storytelling.
Right. No out of order storytelling. Right. It's just weird, this like grab bag of different tropes and cliches that are just winding through these.
And again, I'm not surprised that film was delayed twice or 3 times and came out almost 2 years after it was ready to go. But nonetheless, we can finally put a cork in that bottle of that movie and move
I'm
on.
not watching it, so
I'm not.
Yeah.
I think I told you what you need to know.
Yeah.
And that takes care of that. The only other topic that we didn't get to yet was that this week the Big Game season 3 premiered, and again, it's, I think, a very similar structure: 5 episodes covering 150 hands of a loose cannon. But I think it's only going to be like 1 episode a week, which is considerably slower than Game of Gold was. That was like 3 or 4 episodes a week when that came out. So I might just wait until I can watch maybe all of a block of 1 loose cannon back to back to back, because it's not quite like, you know, edge your seat, wait a whole week for what happens next television. So it might make more sense. But it got me thinking, Sam, our next episode or in the future could be watching sort of the modern updated iterations of these cash game TV shows. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Because, you know, you have No Game with No Future, Poker After Dark on Poker Go, and then you have the Big Game, and maybe we'll find something else. Maybe we won't, but that's fine. That, you know, again, it'll be a contrast to when we did the first seasons of the cash game TV shows. So we'll have kind of the old school and the new school cash game television programs.
Yeah, sounds like fun. We'll do it.
Great. I think that about covers everything, huh, Sam? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you have any suggestions for any content we should view, whether it's poker movies, poker documentaries, or we'll keep doing with this whole poker scenes and different things. Like I was just watching Ozark. I had no idea that this was going to happen. And there I am. I'm like, oh my God, there's a poker scene. I could talk about this on the podcast. So yeah, if you ever have those experiences, write about those in the comments, any suggestions for scenes we could review, we're happy to look at them.
Unfortunately, my Reddit account got blocked or banned on Reddit for, I guess because of my thumbnail of Breaking Bad. I don't even know. It was very strange when I showed the, Walt, like, ugh, for the last episode that we did. So I lost all the comments that had the episodes of poker scenes and TV shows. So I'm gonna have to redo that, but that's fine. We'll whatever. So that could definitely be our future here. And obviously with the first event of the World Series of Poker 2024 only like less than 2 weeks away, there'll be lots of stories and happenings, and hopefully lots of bracelets won by our favorites to come. And again, the 99 events that are coming up, and obviously that's not cutting Europe and Paradise Season 2 if they do that again. So should be a good summer. And again, we always have some great content and great numbers for our channel during the summer. So we're very excited to see what will happen next this year.
Yeah, we'll try to review, some of these side events, I think, but we're not going to like review every single one that gets streamed. I think that'd be a little too excessive. But yeah, like we'll obviously keep in touch with, if any cool hands happens, we can talk about those, any sort of drama that happens, and we'll just try to like watch separately, however much we can, and then talk about it.
And also, we also discussed an idea of we'll watch the 2024 final table event, and then if there's an 04 equivalent in the old school episodes, we could just kind of compare the side-by-side each event and see how things have changed over 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, the coverage has changed so much. I mean, this has been talked about ad nauseum in terms of poker media, just the differences between how they did it in 04 and how they do it now. It's just crazy.
So that should be a good summer here, guys. Obviously, it's still spring, but summer is only right around the corner here. So until next time, guys, enjoy your poker, enjoy your TV, enjoy me on the TV in poker, and enjoy everything else.
Happy Ozarking. Don't spoil the show for me, please. I just finished season 3.
And again, fair use, poker go.
Fair use.
All right, bye.
Bye.